Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Who's with us?
Shalom, Rav. How are you?
How are you?
Wow. So, Rav, I just want to mention, it was so incredible seeing you and seeing the Kehillah in Joburg for the week that I was there for the Chasana of Yoni and Tova. My nephew. It was amazing.
My blanket.
And Rav, I just want to mention, the saying
give
of
me
the
yours
Hebrew
then, not a
Kadisha,
problem.
that no Jew gets left behind. The South African Jewish community is really very unique, and you can all be so proud because it's an amazing community, and I feel very privileged to be part of it. And when I came back today and I was at work, so many people said, "Oh, we've heard so much about the South African Jewish community," which is really very special. But I'll just give you guys a little bit of news of what's happening here. I'm actually at a yacht site for the late Michael Pomeranz. So I just stepped out of the yacht site. There's a bit of music on the streets here. Sorry. This just started now. It's Chabad. Rob, can you hear, or is it difficult?
Dr. Les, can you hear me?
Yeah, is it difficult?
No, now I can. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, Rob, I'll just mention. I don't know if you've heard. There's big news here about the Wagner Group that Levy took over control in Russia. Now the leader is Yevgeny. I don't know if you've heard. If you can hear, Rob. The Wagner Group. Yes. Okay, it's Yevgeny. So what happened? So let's see here. Prigozhin, and his actually mother married a Yid, so his father was Jewish, and she died. He died, and then she remarried, and his stepfather was also Jewish. So sorry. This is Chabad. This is Nach.
Les is on mute.
Dr. Les, just unmute yourself.
Okay. All right.
Now
so the leader of the Wagner Group, his father, on both his father and his stepfather were Jewish, which is unbelievable. And he was so close, 200 kilometers away from Moscow, and he was such a threat to take over from Putin. But they kind of have a type of ceasefire. But so much is happening in the world that it's only Hashem controls what's going on. And we see that Putin, who was so strong, in one day, he nearly lost power. It's just unbelievable. And who would have ever dreamt that such a thing could happen? But Rav, now it's much quieter. I just want to reiterate, having been in Johannesburg and having been with such a special Kehillah, I'm so grateful. Everybody was just amazing. And to see, it is one of the most unique Kehillahs in the world. It really is. And you can all be very proud. And that statement that no Jew gets left behind is so true. So I want to thank you all for making me feel so comfortable when I went back. And being in Israel, I must tell you, a lot of Israelis and a lot of Jews from America are very envious of the Kehillah that you guys have in Joburg, because it is very, very special.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Baruch Hashem. Once again, Dr. Les, Mazal Tov, Shavua Tov. Hope next time you'll spend more time with us.
Thanks so much.
More time with us. Thank you. Okay, Rabotai, the subject of the Sheol tonight is the Bermuda Triangle. And today I'm going to try and cover with you a few things. Number one, where is the Bermuda Triangle? The size of the Bermuda Triangle, we have to understand. After that, we're going to go and speak about the accident and different memorandum that make the Bermuda Triangle so dangerous. Later on, we bring different idea regarding the accident, the number of accidents that happen in the Bermuda Triangle, the opinion of the scientists, and then we're going to explain what our sages say. We see that our sages speaking about the Bermuda Triangle already 2,500 years ago, and also what caused the Bermuda Triangle to be such a dangerous place. So Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, ve'Hashem alenu berachamav yarviach. I would like to dedicate the shi'ur in honor of the soul of Esther Kaden Bat Ketia, Mordechai ben Rahma, Harav Avraham Hayim ben Eliezer Yaakov, Tamar Bat Zehava, Yaakov Salomon ben Farha, Dvora Ruth Bat Beila, Shosha Blima Bat Mordechai Betzalel, Malka Regina Bat Joya, Keti Gurgia Bat Farha, Nishmatam Tiet Tzura Betzura Hayim. Also, I would like to dedicate the shi'ur in health of Menashe Naji ben Farha, Liora Bat Miriam, Harav Moshe ben Bahia Batia, Harav Moshe ben Devora, Harav Shlomo Yehuda ben Dalia, Harav Avraham ben Marina, Dvora Bat Esther, Orna Bluma Bat Miriam, Sheina Keila Bat Hana, Mordechai David ben Leah, Chaim Nahum ben Pesa Reza, Ahuva Kaden Bat Tali Esther, Tzvi ben Hava, Shmuel Meir ben Shosha Blima, Miriam Bat Zelda Liba, Moshe Avram ben Henariva, Haya Tzipora Bat Rachel, Ayala Eden Bat Rivka, Tova Liba Bat Rachel, Nahum Zeev ben Sheina Rivka, Yeshua Haim ben Haya Lea, Hana Masha Rivka Bat Zelda. Please God, refuah shlema to all of them. ולכל שאר חולי עמו ישראל.
Sorry, it's Chaya Masha Rivka Bat Zelda.
That's what I said. Chaya Masha Rivka Bat Zelda. Yeah. Thank you. Rabotai, the Bermuda Triangle. Almost every human being in this earth, almost, not all, heard about the Bermuda Triangle and the tragedy that happened in the Bermuda Triangle. If it's regarding ships that been sunk down to the ocean, plane that suddenly disappear and never been found, crew of ships, crews of member of airplane, people that was flying on a normal flight that suddenly disappear in a triangle of Bermuda. What's happening there? Be'ezrat Hashem will try to find out today. Where is the Bermuda Triangle? The Bermuda Triangle, actually, it's a place in the Atlantic Ocean. While in the north, we have the Bermuda Island. In the south, we have Puerto Rico. And on the west, we have Florida. What's close to it is Miami in Florida, okay? That it's become like a triangle area. It's not in a map. You're not going to see a place that's called the Bermuda Triangle. But if you draw from the Bermuda Island, a line straight down to the south, it's going to reach to Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico, you draw a line to the west to Florida, and from Florida, from the west, again to the north, to the Bermuda Island. That's the area of the Bermuda Triangle. If anyone know the map, a little bit of the area. The size of the Bermuda Triangle, Rabotai, many of us think the Bermuda Triangle is a few hundred meters. The Bermuda Triangle is 1 million square kilometers. I repeat, 1 million square kilometers. It's a huge area. Okay? The Bermuda Triangle, we have to understand, lately it's not been in the news a lot, but I would like to go backwards to certain memorandum that we hear about the Bermuda Triangle. The first memorandum that we have regarding the Bermuda Triangle, it was from the Italian explorer, Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was Italian. He born in Italy. Many people think that he born in Spain. It's wrong. He born in Italy. In 1492, he wrote in his diary, that when he was in that area, he arrived to a place and suddenly he found out that all the compass suddenly start going haywire. In his language, he call it Hilul Ishtagea. What it means? They start going mad. The compass in his ship start rolling around. That means the north, the south, he couldn't work it out. Where is it? Not only that, he added up in his diary that he saw a huge flame of fire in the sky. That's the first memorandum that we have written from 1492 from Christopher Columbus. In March 1918, it was a battleship in the name USS Cyclops, belonged to the American Navy, that disappeared, while on the crew was 309 crew members. They all disappear. The ship, the battleship disappear, and the 309 members, the crew member that was disappear. No one heard about him anymore. Just by the way, just to give you a bit of history about it, that was the biggest loss for the American Navy without a battle. That means that the American Navy, for them, it was the huge loss until today without any war. In December 1945, now if you look, I'm starting from the 14th century and I'm moving to the 19th century. In December 1945, 5 American bombers that was on a training schedule above the Bermuda Triangle lost any contact with no further information. They was flying, it was a clear day. That flight called Flight 19, some of you remember that if you read in the history a bit, that's called Flight 19. Flight 19 was 5 bombers that was in a training, not in action, that suddenly disappear. Before they disappear, they hear the pilots saying on the radio that their compass that they have and all the navigation system actually collapsing. That was the last word that they hear. And then those 5 bombers disappear. A rescue plane then gone to try to find and to see where they are also disappear. In December 1945. December 1945, the American, Air Force lost 6 airplanes in one shot. In October 1982, an airplane that called a Hercules. Hercules is a carrier airplane for the Colombian army, disappear above the triangle of Bermuda, in the Bermuda Triangle. November 1985, Rabotai, a Boeing that belonged to the Israeli company El Al that was flying from Israel to Mexico. 1985, November 1985, was a huge earthquake in Mexico. On that airplane that belonged to El Al was a crew member of Achala to go and help to rescue people from the earthquake that was in Mexico. That airplane, when it flew above the Bermuda Triangle, for a few minutes, the navigation system completely collapsed. That's actually they wrote it, and it's been mentioned by the Air Force magazine, the Israeli Air Force magazine. So we see from here that the Bermuda Triangle, it's quite a dangerous area for ships, for airplane. What exactly happened? What exactly happening in there? But before we're going to get to it, I would like to bring certain figures. Today, the scientists actually, according to their figures, they say that in the Bermuda Triangle, in the last 500 years, happened between 200 to 1,000 accidents of ships, boats, airplane that disappear in that area. Howard Rosenberg in 1973, he said that the American Coast Guard got 8,000 distress calls just by the Bermuda Triangle. Howard Rosenberg explained that according to him, to the research that he done, he explained that in the last 100 years, 50 ships been drowned in a Bermuda Triangle, and also 20 airplanes disappear in a Bermuda Triangle. Today, no one can say, and no one can exactly identify those ships, those airplanes that they found under the ground, who they are, because they're very rushed. It's very difficult to identify the airplane and the boat or the ships that sank in the Bermuda Triangle. What is the scientists think? The scientists explain, one of the opinion is that the scientists bring that because that area, it's a very difficult area. When I say difficult, very strange weather, that it can be clear 1 second. The next minute, the weather can change, and there is strong wind that's coming and clashing together from the north, from the south, and from the west. Those kind of wind can cause waves to reach up to 30-meter high. And that's what the cause, according to scientists, for ship to drown in a Bermuda Triangle. The scientists continue and say that wind, that strong wind that caused sometime for plane, light plane, or jet to lose control because it's a strong wind, and they lose control and they start diving straight into the Atlantic Ocean. That's one opinion of the scientists. There's another opinion that the scientists bring, that today many of the scientists try to agree with that, agreeing with that, not trying, agreeing with that there is a matter of fact in the bottom of the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, by the Bermuda Triangle. That means, again, on the north is the Bermuda Island. Down in the south, there is Puerto Rico. And on the west, we have Florida. That area of 1 million square meters, they say that there is in the bottom of the ocean, there is electromagnetic area. And that electromagnetic area draw any metal object that sail over it or fly over it, just draw it down to the bottom of the ocean. That's the second opinion of the scientists. Now, I would like to bring what our sages telling us. But before we start with that, I would like to open a conversation. If any one of you want to add up something, I'm going to leave, everyone can unmute the microphone. If you know anything regarding that subject, before I would move on to what Hazal telling us in the Gemara. Okay, what our sages tell us already 2,500 years ago that they knew about it. And the commentary that we have on a Gemara been told us already 1,000 years ago, and they explain what exactly happening in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean by the Bermuda Triangle. If any one of you have any comment, please unmute the microphone before we continue with what our sage is telling us. I would like to hear if you have anything else to add up. Bechavod. No comment. Okay. No one want to add up? Okay, so I will continue. So our sages tell us in a Gemara Masechet Brachot, believe it or not, in page 8, folio 1, 3/4 from the top of the page, Hazal tell us something very interesting. Hazal tell us, say 3 words, kipiture, befi, veshat. What is it? What does it mean? What does it mean? If you look, the Gemara actually speak about the sickness that called askara. Askara is a problem that Hazal explained. It's one of these 39 kind of deaths. It's the worst kind of punishment of death that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punish a person. What is that exactly? It's a respiratory kind of problem that people battle to breathe. That's what Hazal speak in the Gemara. In the Aramic word, they call it askara, the sickness of askara. That's what Hazal speak in the Gemara. Come Rashi HaKadosh. Listen, Rashi HaKadosh, born 983 years ago. I always mention the years, and today is very important. He born in the north of France in the city of Troyes. That means Rashi come and wrote commentary on the oral Torah around 983 years ago. Or when I say the oral Torah, I'm talking about Gemara Masechet Brachot. And there he explained what's happening in the Atlantic Ocean. I'm going to read it in Hebrew, and then I will translate it to English. And Rashi HaKadosh say like this: Yam HaOkeanos. Yam is the sea of the ocean. Okay? Look what he say. Yesh bo mekomot she'eno mekabel barzel. That means Rashi come and tell us there is a certain place in the ocean that anything that made from steel, okay, the ocean will actually pull it down. Okay, that's Rashi HaKadosh. And then he continue and say, how do you make a ship and how can you sail over that area? Rashi HaKadosh say, mehabrim, you take plank of wood or what do you call it, gum poles, whatever you want to call it, and you join them together with ropes. ומחברים לוחות הספינה על ידי חבלים ועקלים שתוחבים בנקבה. What does it mean? If you want to build a ship that can sail over that area that's called the Bermuda Triangle, you have to use rope. You cannot use nails and you cannot use screw. Why? Because if you use nails or screw, the magnet actually just gonna pull them out and the ship actually gonna break to pieces. So say Rashi HaKadosh, you have to use rope. How do you make that ship with a rope? So you say you make a hole, a small hole, and you shove through the hole a thick force, and you force the rope through, and that, with that, you join actually the plank, and that, because it's so thick that you have to push it, it will stop water penetrating into the boat, the ship, whatever is it. And that can help the ship to sail over that area in the ocean. Not only that, Rashi continue and explain that those ropes that you're going to use, you have to force them with a lot of power. And listen to what it says. ותוקעים אותו בדוחק, לפי שהם גסים כמידת הנקב. What does it mean? Rashi say that if you build a ship and you want to join the plank together, the only way that you can build that ship, it's when you take a rope and it's exactly the size of the hole and you force it through, that it's going to be so tight that no water can penetrate and that can join the planks together, say Rashi HaKadosh. Rashi explained that that's the only way that ships that sail in a Bermuda Triangle can cross the Bermuda Triangle. Why? Again, if there is any metal or there is any screw, nails, whatever is it, the electromagnetic that there is under the sea will just pull it out from the ship, and that's how the ship can break and can sink down. That's Rashi HaKadosh already 1,000 years ago, close to 1,000 years ago. Okay, Rabotai, we have to understand what's happening here. We got to conclusion that the Bermuda Triangle, it's an angle that's full of electric magnetic field. That if there is a ship or airplane that fly very low, that electromagnetic actually can pull it down to the ground. Simple as that. That's Rashi HaKadosh. Come the Rashash. A Rashash that we're speaking is a Rashash Ashkenazi. And he wrote commentary on Rashi. He lived 200 years after Rashi passed away. And Rabbi Shlomo Sternshon, he explained like this. He explained what Rashi tried to tell us. He explained like this. He said that in the bottom of the sea, in a Bermuda Triangle, there is electrofield that whatever metal ship, boat, whatever made from metal that sail over that area, that magnetic field actually pull it down deep to the ocean. And that's what caused all the accident in a Bermuda Triangle. The same, he explained that if someone go above the sea, and that time they didn't have airplane, he explained that if there is metal over it, the power of the magnetic field can just draw it down to the sea. So now we can understand what scientists telling us 2,500 years later, what Hazal knew already in the Gemara, that in the bottom of the ocean, in a Bermuda Triangle, there is magnetic field, that any metal that fly over it or sail over it get drowned to the sea. Simple as that. What caused that magnetic field, electromagnetic field that we have in the bottom of the ocean? So the Rashash Ashkenazi, Rabbi Shlomo Sternshon, he was, as I explained, he born 200 years after Rashi, close to 200 years after Rashi, maybe even 240 years after Rashi. Okay, he born around 740 years ago, 750 years ago even. And he explained like this. He go back to the beginning of the creation. At the beginning of the creation, the Torah tells us that nothing was in the world. Then come Parashat Noah. What's happened in Parashat Noah? Rabotai, we have to understand. The Torah tells us something very interesting. The Torah speak about the generation of the flood. The generation of the flood. How is the generation of the flood happen? How did it become flood in the world? Not many people understand that. Say, Rabbi Shlomo Sternelson, he explained like this, that the Almighty actually took two meteors, okay? And he moved them from their position. And those two meteors actually clash. And that's what caused the flood from heaven and the flood from the ground, from the ocean, to start pushing all the water. By the way, that's what called the continental drift. That's what caused the continental drift. Say the Rashash Ashkenazi, say like this, that's what caused also the electromagnetic field that there is at the moment at the Bermuda Triangle, what caused all the tragedies that we know. So nachon, that the scientists find out maybe around 20, 30 years ago, call it 50 years ago. But our Torah already knew about it from the beginning of the creation. Chazal telling us again in the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, page 8, folio 1, regarding the Bermuda Triangle. Rashi HaKadosh explained, how can you cross that area? Why? Because Rashi explained that there is an area, like I mentioned earlier, in the ocean, that no metal can cross over it. And if you try to cross over that area in the ocean, it will just pull you down to the ground of the ocean. And that's what they call the Bermuda Triangle. So all what we hear, all of those horrific stories, we brought Christopher Columbus from the 1492, that he wrote on his diary that his compass completely gone berserk, ishtagea, according to him, that's gone mad. He saw a flame of fire. We're going to reach to it also soon. What happened then? We have to understand that what people saw and what people wrote, all of those situations that happen, it's not for nothing. It's to tell us something. And we're going to get to it also. So we explain what caused it. We explain what caused the electromagnetic and the bottom of the ocean. Now we have to explain those that experience that feeling, what's happened to them and survive. So it was American pilots that flew from Miami. He flew from Bermuda to Miami with a light aircraft. And the day was clear, and the plane was him and his father and another businessman. There was 3 of them in that light craft airplane. And he said it was clear, the cloud was very clear. And suddenly he saw a dark cloud coming towards him, and he couldn't avoid it, and he penetrated through the cloud. And when he penetrated through the cloud, it was all dark for a few seconds. He said, and the next thing, it was great light. He continued to fly, and he started to see that cloud getting narrower and narrower. And he suddenly started to realize that the compass and all the navigation instruments And the airplane actually doesn't work anymore. They're just moving left and right. They're just playing. Everything gone berserk. He said he didn't have a choice, and he tried the best that he can to maneuver and to control the plane to go in a straight direction. He says that that thing, in his opinion, looked like a lifetime. But a matter of fact, it was a matter of few minutes. And when he suddenly penetrated into the cloud, he said that they could not see nothing. It was all dark, completely darkness. Like people walking in the darkness. That's what he flew. And he saw that the tunnel getting smaller and smaller until he couldn't see anymore. And he was thinking that he's dying. And suddenly he saw a spot of a light in the front of him. And as he got closer, he saw that it's become bigger and bigger. And the next thing, he was out of that dark cloud. And the next thing, it was all clear. He cannot explain what happened. But he said when he landed in Miami, in Florida, he found out that a half of the fuel is still in a fuel tank. That means he used only a half of the quantity of the fuel that he's supposed to use. Not only that, he says something very interesting, that journey that he done a number of times before, he was 40 minutes ahead of time. That means if it's usually take an hour, for example, it took him 20 minutes. And that's what we call in Sfat Kodesh, Kfitzat HaDerech. There is Kfitzat HaDerech, okay? What's happened to him that he traveled, and the next thing he found himself in Florida. He cannot explain, he said. He doesn't understand what's happened. All he can say that he flew inside that cloud, and that cloud became narrower and narrower and darker until certain time that, according to him, it was like a lifetime, that he couldn't see nothing. And he was almost certain that they're going to crash until he saw the light, a small light in the front of him that took few minutes, and the next thing it was out of that cloud. That's how he explained his experience that happened to him above the Bermuda Triangle. Chazal tell us something very interesting in the book, in the Midrash that's called Bereshit Rabbah, the book that Midrash Rabbah on Sefer Bereshit. Leikamide, the Lord the Remiza, the Oraita. What does it mean? It's an Aramaic say that Chazal telling us there is nothing that not been mentioned in our Holy Torah. That means there is nothing that not been hint to us what's happening in this world that not written in our Holy Torah. What scientists find out today, that the Bermuda Triangle is electromagnetic field under the ground. Our sages knew about it, and the Torah tell us about it. Chazal already revealed that secret close to 1,000 years ago. Chazal in the Gemara, our sages in the Gemara, written it already 2,500 years ago. Because until Yehuda Nasi came, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, not Yehuda Nasi, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, I'll take my word back. Because until he wrote the oral Torah, people were not allowed to write the oral Torah. But he said, Et la Hashem haferu Toratecha. That means it's time, because the generation, he saw that the dropping level of the generation, and he knew that if he's not going to write the oral Torah, no one going to remember. Therefore, he decided that it's time to write the oral Torah. That means our sages knew about the continental drift. They knew about that electromagnetic, but they're only allowed to reveal it to us only after Rabbi Yehuda Nasi wrote, okay, the oral Torah. So what do you learn from here? What do we can learn from here? That today's scientists actually finding out, realizing that what's happened and what's happening in the world, our sages knew about it already from the day of the creation, or after the creation, let's be accurate. Because according to our Rashash Ashkenazi, that explained to us what happened, that when the two meteors have a clash, and that's what caused the flood in the time of the generation of the flood, that's when the electromagnetic happened in the bottom of the ocean. And that's, Rabotai, what also caused, okay, the drift of the continent, or the continental drift in the world, that we know that it was one continental, and after the flood, it split to 7 continental. Rabotai, that's what I wanted to share with you tonight, the secret of the Bermuda Triangle, what's happened, how is it caused, all of those difficulties that, and all of those dangerous areas that there is in the world, Hazal knew about it. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll try to find another subject going to be interested. I hope that you've been interested about it, because many people speak about the Bermuda Triangle. Many people talk about it, but you know, it's become lately, because people know that it's become electromagnetic field, so they fly very high above it. Ships doesn't go in that area. There is certain area that not going, that they're already avoiding it. Although that air, what do you call it, air route and sea route, very busy. It's very busy today. Today, we don't hear so much about it. The last one that we hear, it was not long ago. It was a small boat that of people that was in that area didn't take the right precaution, and they disappear in the ocean. Hope that you enjoy the show, Rabotai, but it's come to teach us very important thing. It's come to teach us that our sages, our Torah, telling us and knew about it all the time. It's just that today, the scientists found out, and Be'ezrat Hashem, that we'll hear a better news, that when the Mashiach come, he revealed to us the secret of the ocean. Amen, Ken Yeh Ratzon. Those of you that would like to ask question, I will try to answer as much as I know regarding the subject. Bechavot.
Hello, it's Anthony. How are you?
Erev Tov, Antonio.
Rashi was born in Troy in France. I just want to know, you said he was born 980 years ago. Does that city,
Yes.
Troy, still exist today? The city where he was born, is it still there in north of France?
It's called Troa. Troa. Remember the word Troa. The city of Troa in the north of France. Yeah. It's in the north of France. Is it still there
today?
Sure.
Is it a big city?
I don't know. I've never been there. I must be honest. I've never been in Troa. I've been in France, but I've never been in Troa. Funny enough. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Okay. You spoke about Rashi. You spoke about Rashi, so I thought I'd bring that up.
No, good. I hope that you enjoyed the show, Rabotai. If there is any other question that you want to ask regarding the Bermuda Triangle? No question. Okay. Rabotai, I hope that you enjoyed the show. I was expecting the load shedding not to see so many people, but Baruch Hashem, many of you joined the show. Baruch Hashem. I would like to wish all of you Shavua Tov U'Mvorach. Please God that you have a great week, a safe week. And we'll see again and we'll meet again, please God, this coming Thursday. We're going to speak a Parashat Hukat and Balak. This week, we're going to read a double Parsha. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you on Thursday night again. In the meantime, I would like to wish all of you Shavua Tov U'Mvorach. Have a beautiful week ahead. Have a good night and thank you for joining us. All the best.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.